good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, guys, based on the time zones you all are coming from. So, guys, before we start with the session, can you all please give me a quick confirmation if you all can see my screen and hear me loud and clear as well? Perfect. Thank you for the confirmation, everyone. So, before we get started, let me quickly introduce myself to you all first. So, my name is Neeraj Kheria, and I have been working in the IT industry for more than 13 years now. So, today we have gathered for a discussion on top of Amazon Lex. So, how Lex is used for creating the conversational chatbot. So the main agenda for today's session, we are going to first of all discuss what exactly is a chatbot, what is Amazon Lex, how Lex works, and the core concept and terminologies in Amazon Lex, and how we can get started as a part of Simple Hands-On. So if you talk about chatbot, then chatbot is basically an automated program which conducts a conversation in natural language via speech or text, and it understands the intent of the user and sends a response based on business rules and data of the organization. So if we go back almost, if we go, let's say almost a decade back, at that point of time, if we had to implement a chat-based system in any of the web-based application or any of the mobile applications, then we used to have a complete dedicated support team sitting behind the desk. And for any of the queries coming to the website, that query were all of those queries were solved by that team itself. That means there was no automation. That means every query had to be served by a human user. But now, since the amount of queries they have been increased multifold, and now companies they have realized from their own analysis that 80% of the queries are all repetitive. That means majority of the users, those who raise or any user who is raising a query, they will be having questions which can be solved by following a given script. For example, if someone wants to purchase, if someone has a query about the product, right? So, for example, before purchasing a phone, someone wants to know if the phone is again what is the specification for the phone and if there are any discounts applicable. So again, these are again the common queries from by multiple users. Same way, if someone wants to cancel the subscription, again we can solve that query by using a complete automated script that can be executed as per the user's input given. So instead of setting up a complete chat system and making a human user sit behind it, we can automate the entire process by using this chatbot system. And we can create a company. And chatbots are basically of two different types as well. One we have the self-learning chatbot, and then we have another one as a scripted chatbot. So basically, in terms of scripted, we design the entire script and the chatbot works accordingly. Whereas in self-learning chatbot, the system tries to learn by using the input given by the end user. So based on the responses, based on how they are asking the questions, on learning the sentiment, on doing the entire sentiment analysis based on the queries that this system is going to receive. So it can try to improvise the entire performance by using the ML models implemented directly in the chatbot systems. Or we can start by creating a complete script where we can define multiple scenarios. So the chatbot is going to handle those queries based on the script that we have given. And that is what we are going to create as a part of our hands-on on Amazon Lex as well. So to see a small example of how chatbots are structured, we can go to Microsoft's website. Microsoft has a really good implementation of chatbot. So let's see how exactly it is structured. Currently, we are on Microsoft website now. If you want, we can go to the contact section for Microsoft. And if we are looking to trigger the sales operation, and here we can click on Get Started. And what we can see here, we have initiated a chatbot. As you can see here, we have opened up a chatbot system. Now, when we are opening up chatbot, there can be multiple intent. Now, when we say intent, that means now the users, they can trigger chatbot with multiple intents. Some users may trigger the chatbot for canceling canceling their, let's say, Xbox subscription. That can be the intent. Some users may be using this for, let's say, for purchasing Microsoft Office or Microsoft Xbox, or they want to purchase or they want to renew their subscription, correct? Some of them may be having some maybe facing some technical issues with any of the product that they may have purchased, correct? Someone may be trying to get more information on any subscription that they are going to purchase. So there can be multiple intent. Someone may be there for canceling the subscription, correct? So they can be multiple intent, and we have to make sure that we are solving the user's query based on the intent. So, for example, if they type in, okay, they would like to cancel the subscription, then the script for helping the users to cancel the subscription has to be executed, correct? If someone is going for purchasing a new license, then the script which has been defined for helping the users for buying a new license, that has to be executed, correct? And that's why we have to make sure that we are using the script accordingly based on the user intent. For example, currently we are using the chatbot. So here, if we type in as I would like to cancel my Xbox subscription. So now our intent here is to cancel the Xbox subscription. And we can see here now the script is going to be executed accordingly, and then we are going to get automated response through which we can interact directly, right? Let's say if we reopen the same chatbot, for example, again, if we use get started, and now if we type in as, let's say, if we type in as purchase Office 365. So again, this is again another type of intent. So intent is with what intention the users are opening up the chatbot. That we refer as intent in chatbots. So now our intent is different. Earlier we were trying to cancel cancel a subscription, and now we are trying to purchase a product, right? So let's say here we have different options: how to buy Office, what are the different purchasing options available, and how we can get started. Same way, suppose if we reopen the same chatbot with another intent. Now this time our intent is, let's say, if we want to, we are facing some issues, right? So suppose Windows is not booting up. So again, this is a technical issue, correct? So we can again, and if we, as soon as we type this query, again we can see different response being given to us. So that depends upon, as you can see, our surface. Again, if we mean a surface, a service laptop, again, then we can simply confirm that, and based on that, we can, now here we are giving the users a video to watch that can solve the query, or they can follow the steps as well based on the query based on the option that has been given. If we choose follow the steps, then again we can give more options depending. We can allow the users to choose what kind of device that they have the access to. So based on the selection, they can get the response accordingly. And this is not being handled by any human user. These all things have been completely automated by using the chatbot system. So here we have discussed what exactly chatbot is, and we know the first chatbot was built back in 1966 to mimic human conversations. And chatbot applications include multiple types, like multiple domains, including online shopping, booking tickets, news reports, ordering food. Like we have seen example for Microsoft website as well. So there are multiple type of integrations available, and we have discussed there are multiple chatbot types. We have the command bots, where we can create a complete script, or we can also make use of learning bots as well. We can make use of learning bots as well. Now, let's talk about Amazon Lex. AWS, as we know, has been the global leader in cloud computing platforms, and AWS has to offer more than 175 services in different categories, including blockchain, IoT, on computation services. We have database services, storage services. We have services for migration. We have services for management of NoSQL database service as well. We have different categories of services listed by Amazon. And Lex is a service given to us by AWS through which we can create multiple conversational chatbots. So when we say conversation chatbots, here we can define the intent. That means, let's say we are building a chatbot for a flower shop. That means now in a flower shop, there can be multiple intent, just the way we have seen the example for Microsoft. The people can initiate the chat with multiple intents for buying a product, for canceling a subscription, for having any technical issue with any of the products. There can be multiple intents, right? So same way we can, let's say if we have a flower shop, we have a online booking system, and now we want to create a chatbot that can be easily integrated into the application that will be up and running on top of Amazon's own network, we can say Amazon's own platform. Then we can do that by using Lex. So we can define the entire script, that means how exactly we want to and what exactly we want to automate as a part of the chatbot creation. And then we can allow the chatbot, they can allow Lex to simply handle all the queries entered by the users that we can easily process by using another serverless computing platform like we have Lambda, again offered by AWS as a part of serverless computing services. So to work with Lex, first of all, we do need to have an active AWS account. We do need to have an active AWS account. So AWS offers us the platform. AWS offers us a free tier access. That means we can use the free tier access to get the access to work on some selective services under a given limitation. And once we have signed and to sign up on AWS, we have to simply use our credit or debit card, which can be Visa, Mastercard, or MX card. And once we have entered those details, we'll be able to get the access to our account to which we can get started. Now in terms of use case we had discussed, there are multiple use case for Lex. So we can use this in the banking domain. So customers contact bank for the account balance, and Lex understands the user request, and Lex responds to user in speech savings account or checking account balance. And then we are going to process this information by using Lambda. So Lambda is basically a serverless computing platform. So we can choose Lambda to process the information that is going, or we can say the input given to us by the end users. And then once the input has been processed, we are going to send the response back to the users that their response has been processed successfully. And then now it all depends upon the use case and our business logic. That means we want to store the data with DynamoDB, which is basically a NoSQL database service, or we can send the notifications via SNS. SNS being the simple notification service which is used for delivery of notifications via multiple protocols. Like we have SMS, we can choose email, we can choose HTTP endpoints, and then we have SCS, which is usually used for sending out emails, like a dedicated mailing service given to us by AWS, or we can use any other services based on the function that we have created by using Lambda. All right, so this is how Lex is structured, and we can build powerful interfaces to use it with any of the mobile applications as well. We can have the entire processing done based on Python. We can use .NET framework. We can use Python framework as a backend environment to process the input is going to be entered by the users, and then we can choose a platform on which he wants to be integrated. And using this, we can build highly interactive and conversational user experiences for connected devices in Internet of Things as well. And then we can also build the enterprise level chatbots to check sales data, marketing performance, and much more. Now, if we talk about the benefits of Amazon Lex, then it offers an easy to use console and predefined bots. It employs advanced deep learning functionalities. It provides seamless deploying and scaling. It offers built-in integrations with AWS platforms. And moreover, it also offers a cost-effective platform to create bots. So now let's see how we can get started by logging into AWS so that we can get started working on this chatbot system. All right, so now let's see how we can get started. So we can come back to the browser. Now here to log in, we can simply log into AWS account by typing in console.aws.amazon.com. In case we have not signed up on AWS, we can refer to aws.amazon.com to get started. So once we are on this link, we can now if we are using this platform for the first time, instead of seeing sign to the console, we will be able to see the option as in create an AWS account. So we can use this link to get started. So just like we sign up on any website, we can enter our details as in the username, email, address, and then we have to enter an active payment method, and then we will be able to get started. And once we have completed our sign up process, we can log into account. Let's log into a dummy account in AWS. So once we sign in, this is a dashboard that we are going to look at. Now to work with Lex, we can search for Amazon Lex in terms of services. Here we can type in Lex, and then we would be able to see Amazon Lex as service being opened up in the browser. So here we can see here we have Amazon Lex. Now Lex is a service that is not available in every region. So AWS, as you know, has been structured in different regions and availability zones. And Lex is something not available in every region as of now. So we can choose the region in which we want to get started. So let's say here we want to start by deploying things in North Virginia. So here we can choose North Virginia, or we can choose any region which is closer to our end users. Now, if we want to start, we can start by clicking on this create option. So first of all, we have to create a bot. Now we have multiple samples available. That means we can use this template for booking a trip, for ordering flyers, and for scheduling appointments. So we can use any of these different templates to get started. Or if you want to start from scratch, then we can use custom bot. So let's say here we want to start by defining a book, we can say a simple chatbot for allowing the users to book the trip. So we have a sample available where if the users, they enter the first sentence, or we can say the users themselves initiate the chat by typing in, I would like to book a hotel. So this is what an utterance is, right? So the intent here is the user wants to or suppose make a booking. And so this is our intent. Suppose if the user wanted to cancel their booking, then the intent would have been different. Then there can be an intent for knowing more about the hotel before booking the trip, right? So they carry multiple intent. And here the intent is we want the users to book a trip. And that's why we have defined these conversations accordingly. So that means if the user types in, I would like to book a hotel, then we are going to create multiple slots and multiple responses. That means, okay, yes, if they enter this utterance, then the chatbot should be responding with sure, with city, and based on the data that we want them to enter. For example, here, our question is about a city. So if they reply, so now based on the reply, we can save the reply as a part of answer for city, so that we can save it as a part of slot. That means whatever response they are going to enter, we can save it in that particular slot type. That means if they have entered New York City, then this is what? This is not a place on the job. This is not a person name. This is not an age. This is not a figure that they have entered. They have entered a city name, correct? So we can save it as a city name slot so that we can process it accordingly. Then we have asked them, then we have defined the script. That means next we are going to ask them in what date you want to check in. So now whatever date they enter, we want to save that date as a part of a date slot, correct? And the questions that we keep on asking, that we can keep on asking the users, they are going to be referred as prompts. That means based on the response, now again we are going to ask another question, again another question, and so on. And once we are done asking the questions, we have fulfillment. That means we want, like, how exactly we want to process the information entered by the user. We want this information should be processed through any of the conversation chatbots, or we want this to be processed through, or we want to, suppose say here we are building some system for allowing the users to book a ticket. So we can use the system. For example, here we can integrate this with our booking system so that we can find the best possible tickets, and then they can allow the end users to get the details for the tickets accordingly. So we can choose any of the samples here, like we can use any of the templates for ordering flowers, for scheduling appointment, or we can start by creating a custom bot. That means from scratch. So here we can choose custom bot, and let's say here we define the bot name. Let's say we give the bot name as order flowers. So suppose here we are going to create a chatbot for allowing the users to order flowers. Then we can choose a language. We want this language to be based in suppose English for US. And we had discussed that we also get the support for ASR in Amazon Lex. ASR refers to automatic speech recognition. So here it is running on top of the Alexa engine. So we can allow the users to use the chatbot systems accordingly. So let's say here we want to use, now even in terms of voice to support, we can choose multiple voice assistants. So for example, we can choose Sally. And here we can, let's say here we type in as welcome to Edureka. So whatever line we want to hear as a sample, we can simply type the line. And here we can click on play. And so now whatever voice we have chosen, the sample is going to be played back so that we can confirm that this is the voice you want to go for. For example, if we are building an application for children, then here we can choose a children voice. For example, instead of Sally, we can choose, let's say, Ivy. So again, whatever we have defined, again, this is going to be played back in the same voice that we have chosen. So let's say for now, we are going to stick with Sally. And here we can define session timeout. So this is something that you may have observed that each and every chatbot, they have their own specific timeout defined. That means you may have observed that if we leave the chatbot open, then after a couple of minutes, we get a response that please enter something in the chatbot to keep the session up and running, or the chatbot is going to end automatically in 1 minute, in 5 minutes. So we can define because we don't want to keep the chatbot session open for long because of security issues. Plus, we don't want to end up paying more than what we planned for by keeping the session open for longer period of time. All right, so here we can choose the type. And once we add, next we have the sentiment analysis. If we want, we can allow the users to perform the entire sentiment analysis as and when required so that they can integrate their ML models with the chatbot systems. So again, we can allow them to simply integrate that. So if we have an ML model available with us, again, offered as a different service, then we can allow them to be well integrated into the application as and when required. So for now, we can keep it to a command bot system. And if we are creating something for, now say if we are creating something for children, here we can agree to the Children Protection Act. So if we are not building anything for children, we can keep it a no for now. And then we can define the confidence threshold if in case we want to integrate the ML as well. So now we can click on create. So now our chatbot by the name of order flowers has been created. And now we can start by creating multiple intent. So we have seen that a single chatbot can be designed to handle multiple intents. For example, we can create an intent for ordering flowers. We can create the intent for cancellation of the order that the user or any customer they may have placed, right? So we can choose different intent type accordingly, and we can create the entire conversations depending upon the use case. So now we can start by creating a simple intent. So let's say our intent here is to allow the users to order flowers. So here we can click on create intent, and here we can create an intent and as by the name of order flowers. Click on add. Okay, so this intent has already been created in past. So we can remove that intent first. So we can start from scratch. So now we can click on create intent. So here we can define order flower. Now this new intent for ordering flowers has been created. Now we can start by defining a sample utterance. So let's say we want that user, if the user types in as I would like to order flowers. So this can be the phrase which can be used to trigger this intent. Now this can also be order flowers. This can be send flowers. So again, they can be multiple variations that we can include as part of sample utterance. And if we include the ML model, then these sample utterances are already taken care of. And then we can define the slot. So let's say if you want, when the user types in, I would like to order flowers or order flowers, type flowers, then first of all, what exactly needs to be asked to the end user? So here we can define the slot name. For example, first of all, we want to ask them, sure, which city. So here we can define them as city. We can name the slot as city. We can define a slot type. Now, there are multiple slot types available depending upon the user input that we are expecting. For example, let's say if we are creating something where we want that whatever the user enters, that response should be saved as a festival or as a food name or as a language, as a music event name or as a professional or as a sport. So again, we can define multiple utterances as part of the requirement and multiple slot types. So you can either use the inbuilt slots available to us via Lex, or we can create a custom slot in case that slot type is not available. Let's say here we want to save the input by the name of city. So here we can see here we have cities available. For example, we have US city. So here you can choose city, and here we can ask them as a question. Now, that means what kind of question should be asked. So if the user types in, I would like to order plus. So here we can show them a question as in sure, and then we can allow them to enter show what city. And now if we want to add second question, then here we can, here we define one slot by the name of city, and we want that if the user, whatever the user enters, whatever the user they are going to enter as a part of the response, that should be saved as a slot type of city. Next, we want to ask, so let's say if we want them to ask, okay, time, suppose, or we can say date. Now we have a slot available for date itself. So here we can define date, and then we can ask them what date. And then we can also, now if we are going to ask them any time as well, suppose it's about what time shall we deliver. So again, we can choose a slot type for time, which is already available to us. So here we also have slot for time as well. So here we can ask them show what time. And then now if you want to ask users, we can give the end users multiple type of flowers that we can order. So let's say if we want them to define now, we have a type. Now the flower type is not a predefined slot available here. So again, we have to create a slot. So for that, for creating those custom slots, here we can click on slot type, and here we can click on create slot type. Suppose here we have types as flower type. So here we can define the available types. So here we can give them options. Suppose we want them to choose between, suppose we have lilies, we have roses, we have orchids. So let's say we have these three flower types available. We have lilies, roses, and orchids. So here we can add slot to the intent, and we can choose which option we want to make as a mandatory, or we want to define it as optional. So let's say if we want the user should enter date, we can keep time optional, but we want them to enter date, and we want them to choose the flower types. So here we can choose a flower type option. And once the user enters these responses, we can ask them for a quick confirmation as well. Let's say here we can define confirmation prompt. Let's say here we want to define, are you sure you want to order? Now we want to return the response that has been saved in slot 4 for the type, right? So again, here we can see here we have defined the slot type as what city. Now here we don't want to enter what city. We want them to ask, okay, what or what flowers. So what city, what date, what time, and which type of flowers. Let's keep it consistent. And we want to return, we want to confirm the user based on the slot that we have created. So whatever response has been entered by the user that was saved as type, that is going to return. So we want to ask the user, are you sure you want to order? Let's say the user chose, we can say, and they enter rose. Then here, roses are going to be automatically filled as a part of confirmation prompt. So are you sure you want to order slot 4 as in the flower type chosen? Order flowers, add. Now here we want to return the city. Suppose it's a city or address that we have asked to add city on the date that we have selected. This can be the date, and add suppose the time that we have defined as time. So this is going to be asked as a confirmation if the user enters these details, right? Or we can ask them city, or suppose we can ask them the address as well. Now, once if the user confirms, then this is going to be booked. And if the user says no, then we can ask them, okay, your order has been cancelled. So here we can define a response. We can click once we are done. First of all, we have to save the intent. So here we can click on save intent. And you can see now in the intent has been saved. Now we have to first of all create a build. Now why we have to create a build? Because until unless we create a build, we won't be able to test it, correct? So first of all, before publishing and before even testing, we have to create a build first. So we can wait till the build has been completed. So once build is completed, we will be able to test the bots based on the response that we define so that we can modify, because at the end, before we publish this, we have to test it out to see if whatever we have entered is working fine or not. So as you can see, this build has been created. So currently it is still running up. It says completing build. So we can now using this section, we can test the effectiveness of this bot that we have created. And if something is not working fine, then we can work on changing that as well. So let's say here we can start by defining the utterance. So let's say if we enter, I would like to order flowers. So now we have defined the sequence as well. First of all, we define show what city. So let's say here we define as NYC. Now we have defined, okay, the next question is going to be what date as the slot that we defined, correct? So here we can define the date format as well. For example, here we want to define a date in the format of year, and then we have month. And once the date has been defined here, so suppose here we want to be ordered on 12th of December 2020, and then we have defined the type of flowers, correct? And here we can define the type of flowers. Suppose here we want to send roses, so here we can define roses. So based on that, we can simply have the entire chatbot created so that the responses can be recorded and then they can be sent back as a confirmation message back to the users. And here we can test on multiple theories. For example, let's say what time, midnight, and what are the flowers. Again, we can define roses. And then based on the confirmation message that we define here, so here we have called the same prompt, as in, are you sure you want to order roses and messy, or and that needs to be delivered at this time and the time so that we have already chosen. So this is going to be the response that is going to be sent back to the end users. And if you want to process this by using some other integration platforms, then we can choose Lambda, where we can define the function that needs to be used for processing the inputs. And then whatever the response is being entered by the user, that is going to be processed, and the response is going to be shared accordingly. That's how it works. All right. And if you want to create a further chatbot, for example, suppose let's say here we are asking users to enter their choices, right? So now if you want to showcase some kind of images, then we can do that by customizing the cards option. For example, let's say here we are going to ask the users what kind of flowers they want to order, right? So here we can define the image URL as well. For example, we want to show the images of roses whenever they are going to order roses. So here we can define the image for rose. This can be the image which we may pick from our own website. For example, let's say if we define the images. So for giving more options, again, we can simply add more slot types. Remember we have given different slot types. So currently we have added 3 slot types, right? So that's why we can go, if you want to add more options, then here we can add more options as and when required. And if we are looking to integrate the image as a card here, so we can do that by going back to our Lex service. So in here, we can click on settings, and here we can find the number of cards that we want to add here. So we can choose a slot type. So we want to add cards for this slot type, correct? So here we can click on settings, and here we can add the cards. So let's say here in terms of cards, we want to add the options. And then suppose if they Now we want to showcase the image for roses here. So here we have given a link for roses. We can define the name as well. Suppose we want them to order roses. So here we can define roses. And here we can add a subtitle as order fresh roses. Or we could say order 12 fresh roses. And here we can add the button title to be supposed as order roses. And in button value, we can choose. That means if they click on order on this button, then which options would be selected. So we want roses to be selected if they click on order flowers. All right. So here we can define it. And then we can add another card. Suppose we also have a card. We also have an option for lilies as well, right? So we can look for any image for lilies as well. So let's suppose we want to look for lilies. So we can, so generally what we do, we generally pick the image from our own website. Suppose if we are running an e-commerce store, so here we can pick the image from our own website and then we can deploy accordingly. So let's say here we want to allow the users to order lilies. So we can use any sample image for lilies. For example, here we want to make use of this image. So we can open this up. We can come back and here we can define the sample image. And here we can define the word as suppose lilies. And here we can define order lilies. And on here we can define order fresh lilies. Here we can define order lilies. And if the user chooses this card, then again, we are going to select the lilies option. Let's say here we have only two options. So here we can click on save. And once we do any changes in the intent, we have to make sure that the intent should be saved. So we can say intent has been defined. So now we can save the intent. And once we have made any changes, then we have to create a build out of it again, so that this change can be well integrated. So here we can define the entire options in terms of cards as well. All right. Once we're done making the changes here, we can simply create a build out of it. Once we're done, we can save the intent and we have to rebuild the same chatbot so that whatever changes we have done, that can be reflected. Okay, we have defined the sample utterance, so we can save it because we haven't defined the utterance before. So here we can change it. Again, we can create a new build out of it. And once the build has been completed, we would be able to test it out. Let's wait for a minute. So now we can see this build has been created. So now we can suppose here we define as order flowers. So here we are going to be asked what city. So suppose if we define it as suppose NYC again, then we are going to be asked what date. So suppose same. Let's suppose 12th of December. And then we can enter time. Suppose time can be midnight. And now we can say instead of just showcasing the name, now we have seen now we're seeing multiple images being returned as a response. What type of flowers? We have added multiple images. So now it's a better way of improvising the user experience. And then once we see the image, once we are showcasing the image to the end users, then obviously the likelihood of them placing the order is going to be higher. And suppose if we choose order lilies, then only we are going to get the entire confirmation method as you can see here. And then if the user clicks on OK, then they are going to have the entire order fulfilled as you can see here. So once we are done, we can click on publish and then we can define the alias for it. For example, here we can define alias as flower bot and then we can click on publish. So once this bot has been published, then we can easily integrate this with our application depending upon whichever framework we have chosen for the application, whether we have chosen .NET, Python, whichever framework we have chosen, we can deploy it accordingly. So here you can see here we have got the entire connection info. Thank you so much for joining and have a great day ahead. Take care. Bye-bye.